All right, Gabriel, thank you very much for being here on Valentine's Day, which I didn't even know when we scheduled it. I thought it was kind of funny. So, if you could just give people your full name and then kind of start to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll kind of take it from there as we go.
Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Gabriel Remliel, and I'm a yoga teacher. I am a interior designer. I also am a musician. I love to sing. I love to paint. I'm just a nerdy artist, and
Yeah.
I like hanging out with lots of artists, lots of healers. Like to be outdoors. I'm big on camping and hiking and doing anything really outdoors.
Right on. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, I've gone on a lot of like backpacking trips. I don't know if you've done anything like that,
Oh
like
yeah.
adventurous type, but man, that stuff's like one of the best vacations you can go on. It's not the coziest thing you can do, but you'll get to go to the real isolated locations and really experience it in its raw form.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you said you're like a yoga teacher and basically like an all-around artist. And I'm just going to start throwing out really weird questions for you. What's the connection
Okay.
between all of those? Is there, are those totally separate from each other? Because I'm getting the feeling that there totally is, and that there's an underlying philosophy that drives you, and that there's a pattern underneath all of these things of being a yoga teacher and doing music, being a musician, being outdoors, that there's something like ties it all together.
I think everybody is an artist and we all have our own form of creativity and our own connection with the universe. And so that leads to many discoveries and it contributes to many things in our community and our lives. And to me, I think there is a huge connection with all things. I mean, if you just stop to sit at a park bench or you're just somewhere where you're exposed to the elements, um, within moments, you're going to be visited by a bee
Yeah.
or a bird, or some, interaction with another person. Or something will shift. A cloud may move past, and then the sun touches your face. And there's all these different movements that are taking place, and it's seemingly chaotic, but to me, it's a living art. And I get to be so lucky that I get to exist in this beautiful earth, this experience that I have in this body, and also with many different forms of life, from like the weeds to the trees and even the bee, as I mentioned. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of connection happening all the time. And to me, that is one of the philosophies, or at least understanding Samkhya philosophy, is that there's these two energies that are really dominant and they're taking place. Like one is like a rising, and then one is just like, forming and or dissolving or releasing. So there's the inhale and the exhale. And so there's this constant emergence of life, which is the greatest, energy that is uh, the greatest creation, moment by moment. And then there's that natural, you know, breaking away or that natural release of that, which is oftentimes, um, yeah, it's just a cycle of life, a vibration. And then there's this stretching of that vibration that's, um, you know, ebb and flow. And
Yeah.
so that to me is constantly evolving as well. Like there's a lot of different vibrations that people have, and you might have experiences with people if you go out to the, to work or to the coffee shop, for instance, oh, this person has this vibration. But I'm almost certain that that's not how they are all the time. Something led to that. Or maybe, they're running late, so they're kind of in a panic, or maybe they're upset about something, or maybe they're happy about something. But it's all these different vibrations that are fluctuating. And to me, that's all fascinating. And it inspires me to write music, or to create, or to journal, all these different forms of art that come from that observation, all these different ways of learning too about
Yeah.
myself, because I'll see somebody, I'll be like, oh, like, how can I help them? And I'll learn, if there's something that I can do, or I'll find a way to reflect, and, it always leads to reflection for me at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, absolutely. Um, I think it's cool. Like as I'm listening to you talk, I noticed I was like, man, there's like a certain vibe about this guy. There's just a certain vibe about this person. Where like you said all these words, and I'm picking up that there's like I'm always noticing like the patterns in the words that people speak. So you said things. This might make you laugh. Like emergence, a living art, movement, evolving, ebb and flow. Uh, Fluctuation, cycle. Do you see that like there's really there's some kind of poetry going on that you're really into here about I can almost get like a picture that you're painting for me of the stuff that's about like movement and like this flow and this kind of like fluctuating thing. I almost was just like, is this a guy who's like an air sign like all the way? You know what I mean? Really into the things that flow past you and the things that fly by, the bees. So I'm wondering, were you always this way? Was this always, something that you ebbed and flowed with? Or did you have a moment in your life where you had to change and kind of like really learn to give into this? I know that's a really
Well,
vague
I mean,
question.
that was a big question. I've always been Vata, which is uh, an Ayurvedic term, or there's these three different um, gravitating qualities that we often embody, or like our mind and our body kind of represent, or kind of dwell in. Um, and so a Vata person like myself, we're really slim, and we are really poetic.
Mhm.
We're very airy. So yes, I am kind of like this feathery, bird, but I have these other sides to me too. So I consider myself tridoshic, which is, I have this other side to me that loves to be grounded, and like, be put, like to sit and to be cozy, and I love to feast, like I'm very, um, I would say just kind of a blend. We're all blends. There's not one person that's one
Yeah,
way all
absolutely.
the time.
Oh yeah,
So,
because if you were fully airy, you would just float away into the sky, you know what I
I could
mean?
if I am in that state of mind.
You could just drift
But
away like a balloon and then there'd be no one to hold you down, right? Because even like a hot air balloon, I think they have to
yeah, I
kind of
need
weigh it down.
weights, sandbags.
Yeah, and then I feel like
I need
yeah,
yoga.
what's that?
In
You
many
need yoga.
cases,
Okay, yeah,
I
absolutely.
need I need the yoga, and I need the, reality
Hmm. So I
of
guess what I'm trying to
things.
look for is like obviously like you're well versed in a lot of these like philosophies, and I'm wondering like you probably weren't born and you automatically know all these words like vata or whatever these tridoshic and I'm like this sounds so cool. I love all these details. So, what brought you to eventually learn what pulled you in to learn more about
Yeah.
it?
So I used to be a professional dancer, very Vata of me,
Hmm.
very airy. And one day I was dancing for a dance company, and it was a very high stress situation. And one of my colleagues or company members was a yoga teacher. And I had tried yoga before, and I had a really strange experience the first time because it was an instructor that, made it a little bit more like, yoga's supposed to be hard and, you know, it's a
She's a drill
real
sergeant.
athletic. And,
Yeah.
it's all about the poses. And so I kind of, um, decided that it was just stretching at the time. And then, so I, you know, was curious about the philosophies, but hadn't really practiced yoga.
Hmm.
So anyhow, I met this other person who's a yoga teacher. Her name is Cass, and she showed me a few different practices that I really liked, and it helped me calm my nerves. And she was very well informed on like how to modify things, and she really was passionate about it. And so that sparked a lot of passion in me to learn more. And I eventually started reading more books about it. And I would always see her doing her yoga in the VOMs, like in the off stage, kind of on her own. And I always thought it was interesting, and I would kind of imitate her in some ways. But then I found that I needed to learn yoga. So I read some of those books and taught myself Hatha yoga, which is sun and moon balancing practices. And so that kind of started that. And I used to do a little bit of yoga before each practice or each dance practice, or
Yeah.
I would do a little bit of yoga before the performance because occasionally I would be facing a lot of people in the audience, and my nerves would get the better of me.
Hmm.
So instead of using drugs or anything like that, which some people do to
Right.
calm their nerves, I opted for pranayama and doing just a little bit of mindful meditation movement. And that really seemed to help me a lot because not only I was feeling like I was tackling two things, like my body needed to feel good for the performance because it's not all the dance practice or warm up wasn't necessarily um, balancing.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a little more vigorous and a little more strenuous in many ways. And so doing like counter stretches and kind of helping my body stay more balanced really felt good. And so that became a thing. And then um, I just got more curious, and I had a private instructor for many years. And then that person invited me to teach a yoga class. But yeah, it was just over time, I ended up taking a training that I was kind of reluctant to because I wanted it to just be my yoga practice. I didn't really want to be a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, no, you're like, why not? You're really good. And I was just like, no, like it's supposed to be my yoga practice. That's it. Like I'm a dancer or I'm an artist, and I couldn't, I don't want to, perform yoga.
Right.
And so I ended up getting, somebody actually paid for my training and forced me to take a yoga teacher training in a way. And because I didn't have the money either. And
Yeah.
I was just like, well, like I always pushed it aside, like, oh, I don't have the money. That's ridiculous. And like I also like just want to do yoga and don't want to teach yoga. But that helped me step into that role. And then
Yes.
over time, I began teaching yoga for the last 15, 16 years. So
Wow. Yeah, that's
it's been
amazing.
fun.
It's really interesting how sometimes it takes other people to see the gifts that we have, to like
100%.
recognize it in us, and then can be really difficult for us to see it in ourselves. For some reason, we just kind of like spin out, and then you're it's like you really need that. You can't even look in the mirror because then it's still you looking at yourself, and you've got all those assumptions and beliefs going on. And it really takes that outside observer where they're just like, I see the teacher in you. You would be so good at this. And you're like, I can't see it yet. And then that needed that person to really like whatever energy that those kinds of people had, where they were like trying to get you
Yeah.
out of this one state of being that you were in. I don't know, like you were like water that was just kind of sitting there in like a little pond, and they're like, we gotta stir up this pond, we gotta create some steam here, and then I don't know, maybe it like ignited a new part of you. Um, and I mean, is that right? It must be right. You're doing it for 15 years
It
now.
did. Yeah. There were a couple different things that happened in that chapter. I was very unhappy with dancing, just
Okay. Yeah.
dancing as a performer. And I ended up needing some time off, and I got into ecstatic dance at the same time, which was fairly emerging as well. And at the time, and then I began to really see a connection with that and my yoga practice. And I also was able to kind of feel into, oh, this is a new opening for me, a
Yeah.
new awakening of some sort, that I can express myself and heal from the trauma that I had experienced as a dancer, or even just with my own personal limited beliefs about
Hmm.
myself, because I was raised a certain way, and I had all this pressure
Right.
on myself. And I was raised really, really well, but it was just the mental pressure was a lot.
Hmm.
And I would stop myself from actually doing the things that I wanted to do or create. And so having the practice of yoga and the ecstatic movement or somatic healing was something that kind of led me into a greater, wisdom with myself. And I was able to, really just like feel my whole self and not feel like I was just in pieces, like the dancer side or the artist side or like Gabriel needs to be like this as a person side.
Hmm.
Like it was just this whole, emerging quality of wholeness. And that became a new beginning for me. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, like we could just basically you're kind of talking about life, no matter what people say. I always bring it to kind of talk about the meaning of life, Gabriel, is to become a whole person. And we have all of these, aspects of ourselves or pieces that we and roles that we start to play after a while. The whatever job we're at, it kind of like we start pretending so long that you start to fill that role, and you're like an actor that's been doing a movie for 10 years and you forget who you used to be. You get lost in the role, and then you go back home after work, and then there's that role, and then you keep
mhm.
bouncing back and forth between roles and not knowing how to like really live in one or the other, and it's almost like they're fighting against each other. But I really feel that the goal of life is to learn to kind of like let all those roles collapse until they become
Mhm.
something that's so unique, a role that has no name other than your name, where you just become
Right.
Gabriel, not trying to do anything, but just being who you are.
Mhm.
But maybe you have to
Right.
find out a little bit more about who you are and kind of explore. And it's always a process that takes time. It'd be nice, if you could just start off life and know what you're supposed to do. But I'm starting to, th and maybe you would idealize that. Like, I wish this would have happened earlier. But the more I'm
Hmm.
on this earth, I start to think that's kind of the point is to go through it. And you're supposed to, instead of having like a regret, like I wish, it would have happened faster, or I'm noticing that I feel like I appreciate everything I've already gone through. And I'm like, it formed me into this, and that there's more I'm going to be formed into. Um, is anything I'm saying making any sense to you?
Absolutely. And yes, a similar process, definitely for me. I used to be like watching the train go by,
Hmm.
and I would say, how do I get on the train? Like I missed my train, or like I'm not fast enough,
Yeah.
or I'm not, I didn't prepare myself for this. And because life doesn't take any breaks. It's just constantly giving you like it's just serving it hot and fresh, like just all these
Yeah.
lessons. And you're just like, whoa, 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 like how do I be well and like also, show up
Yeah.
in like this greater capacity. And, and then without the judgment, without those belief patterns forming or limiting me.
Hmm.
And so it's literally like one by one, like, like this doesn't serve me. Like I have to remove that. Like this is not who I am. It was good for a while because it trained me to get to this place, but that's not who I am anymore. So yeah, there's a lot of this kind of like reevaluation process that takes place when you go through that holistic view of yourself to kind of like so you can see yourself from
Yeah.
all the sides. The totality of myself is more than just Gabriel and a yoga teacher. I don't actually think that that's who I am. I am, you know, here I am, a vibration moving through this body. And, and it's a choice. It's a choice that I am choosing this vibration now, that I'm here now. And
Yeah.
I was having this thought earlier with this other conversation with someone that, like I was telling myself, like, oh man, like I need to have like more hours in a day because I just have so much to do.
Hmm.
I just don't have enough. And I literally wake up so early and then I go to bed so late. And then from time to time, I go, well, this is all I can do today. And I need to take care of myself and go to sleep. Or this is all I can do. And I need to honor my body or my mind. And, limitations teach us many things, how to break free, from those traps, those old systems, and how we've been conditioned, in our life through work or through relationships and or
Yes.
through just self-talk, like, oh, I couldn't do that, that's not for me or yada, yada, yada. And then instead, training my mind and myself to just be present and to then step forward and ask harder questions like, well, I don't have it yet. How though? That's sometimes the scarier question to ask is how,
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
like there goes the train and it's like even today like I was a little bit like pushing back like I don't know if I have time for a sit down because I am just so busy and then I was thinking like yeah, I have time. Like I am the creator of my life and
Yeah.
I create time. So I can create time for this. And I literally did. And I resolved, like, I moved things around and it worked out. And nobody's mad at me. So it's, but I was able to catch the train to be here. So yeah, it's just a matter of taking action and choosing your life and choosing yourself and becoming that whole person.
Yeah,
And what that
absolutely.
offers you is so
When you were
much more.
talking about the limitations, I had something that came up, which was I was just going like, well, imagine if like your day was like 48 hours long. You'd probably what you'd do is you'd start to like fill it up even more. And then you'd go, I need it to be longer. I need to, and you know what I mean? Like I need it to be 72 hours. And then you just keep filling this whatever like space container you had, you just fill it with more. And you create a way to just find the edge of that limitation anyway, you know? Or let's say if a day was just infinite, then you'd probably like lose all sense of like of what you were doing and like there'd be no more purpose. So like you can almost say that it's like the rules of a game. If I said we're gonna play chess and there's no rules, Gabriel, there would be no fun. You'd just be like I don't know, I'm just gonna move over here, and then I'd be like, cool, and then I can just destroy your piece, and I can throw it in the trash, and you'd be like, wait, I don't understand what the rules are, and I'm like, well, I can make them up as I go. It would kind of like ruin the fun of the challenge if there's no edge to anything, nothing pushing against you, you know, then you're like, oh, I'm just in a state of perfect bliss at all times with nothing, no achievements to do at all. It's like, why am I even here? There's nothing to do? You know what I mean? It'd almost be like just in an empty white room with nothing there, nothing to look at or see or feel or touch. And you'd be like, okay, now I'm free from all constraints. Hey, there you are. You're just hovering in your dreamland. Or I was thinking like how, if you really think about it, art is something that requires limitations because like let's say you're doing dance,
Mhm.
your body, you can't like change the body, it is what it is. There's movements and there's only so many movements, but you explore within the boundaries of the movements to express as much as you possibly can within those boundaries. Like if you are painting, you're always going to have the canvas. I mean, unless
Mhm.
you, I don't know, unless you do some experimental art. I don't know. There's always some weird stuff out there. And you just, there's only so many colors, and it's up to you to
Mhm.
blend. Your uniqueness is how you blend the colors that exist in such a unique enough way that you go, I did my best to express myself with the limitations that I had. You do your best today with the canvas of Valentine's Day, what day are we at? Saturday, to make as much as you can gracefully and artfully with this day.
Mhm.
And then that's how you make your life a living art.
Mhm.
I just thought I would add that in there. I don't know.
I love it. Yeah.
So I'll try to move on from this airy fairy talk to something a little bit more grounded. What are
Uh-oh.
you? Maybe let's try to
Oh
transition
no. My
into what you're
safe
working on.
place.
Let's go into kind of like what you're working on, what you're building in a more material way in your life right now. Like I think you when we had first contacted, you said you had like a
Yeah,
project that you're working on.
I do. Yes. So, so much like the way that I became a yoga teacher, this project found me, or I feel like when I was describing that, this is also how it's been for the
Hmm.
project. I did a advanced training with trauma-informed yoga recently, and I was just integrating that. And one of the assignments was, okay, like, what's your next big project? Like, what's the biggest thing you're gonna do? And I was like, I don't really like this project. And my mentor was like, why not? I was like, well, because I'm already doing enough. Like I got a lot going on
Yeah.
already. Like what do you mean like my next big thing? And some resistance to actually um like stepping into something more difficult and challenging.
Yeah.
So anyway, but like I sat with all of that and then I realized like, oh, well, actually, yeah, like there's something that is ripening in me that is ready to be offered. And it's not just something that I'm thinking about. It's literally what's being, placed in front of me. It's like I believe in God, so I would
Yeah.
say God is leading me.
Yes.
And even though I have no clue, like, okay, I'm just going this direction, but I don't really know what's ahead of me. I just know that there's this direction to go. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel called to move.
Don't you think
Because
that God also rewards us when we step forward with kind of not knowing exactly what's going on, you know?
yeah, and like you have to have faith.
Yes.
And so there's this, I mean, if there's no faith, then there's, like you lose the potency of that willpower and drive, that like that creative force.
Yes.
And so that creative force comes to life when there's faith. And so that I've been really tracking that for many years, like just trying to figure out, what is driving me? Like what do I want to bring my energy? What do I want to devote all of my energy into? Because it's not just one thing that I'm going to do with my life, but what is that pure intention that I'm here in this life, this physical body, this moment? What am I here to serve?
Hmm.
And I love many things, so it's been really challenging, like I'm a jack of all creative endeavors. And
Yes.
so it's been very, very frustrating at times to ask myself this question because I want everything to come together like a tapestry.
Hmm.
And so I've narrowed it down to a couple things.
Yes.
But then at the same time, it's like, well, like you were saying earlier, like it's all connected. Or you asked me if it was all connected, and I believe it is. So I'm
Yes.
actually going to bring it all together in my life by connecting things. It's a beautiful, like I said, like a ripening of sorts in myself because I now realize that I've been the one standing in the way, that I've been, kind of holding myself back and needing time to learn, how to kind of move ahead with
Mhm.
faith. And at those other times, like, even though there have been other times, that wasn't the moment,
Right.
because I needed life to teach me many things. And so I don't look back and say, oh, like I failed at these things or that didn't happen because yada yada. I look back and go, oh, that was very important for me and it brought me here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear because like when you were talking about you have to find that pure intention, I was like, I really believe that you are searching for that. And I know exactly what you mean when you're talking about searching for the pure intention because you're really looking for that thing where like you go, you see all these people and you feel like they're able to like really just put all of themselves into something and just like tackle work and they just have this one thing and you're like, I would lose my soul if I just kind of like gave myself to this one thing and just And then you're like, well, I have like 10 things that I'm into. And then, like you were saying, is you're finding your whole self, right? So you're like, how can I do
Right.
something with my whole self that's not split off into 10 things where, you know what I mean? Like a little bit of me does this in the day and a little me does something else. It's
Right.
like, you're like, if I could find the Gabriel that's underneath the 10 different things and whatever that flame is of passion, and I could just have that thing where all day long I'm giving myself to that pure intention.
Hmm.
If you discover that later, some people never discover that at all. So it is
Hmm.
such an amazing achievement for you to actually discover that period in your life, that pure intention. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? I don't know. Some people, someone told me this is totally random. They said that like they're like Morgan Freeman, the actor. He became a famous actor in his mid 50s.
Oh, wow.
He
Yeah.
didn't, and I was like, wait a minute. Well, that's actually kind of inspiring. I had no idea. They're like, yeah, he's like 90 years old right now, and he's really, really famous at the top of his career. So I'm like, but wow,
Yeah,
okay,
he's played God too.
he's literally played God. And in a room like you're in, uh,
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
in the pure white room.
I'm
Uh,
not gonna. Uh,
Gabriel, this is God speaking.
yes, I have always been here. But yeah, and I want to just touch on my project with that
Yeah.
under or supporting it because I think it's really interesting. I was looking for a place to live actually, and I was just looking online and I was like, why am I looking for a place to buy? I don't have any money to
Hmm.
buy any place at all. Like I'm working so hard and I rent. And so I was like, what am I doing this for? But I just followed that guidance and I wanted to find a place in Los Osos because I love going hiking and being there on the dunes and it's just like a very magical place for me, and it's always
Oh, yeah.
been for me. And I've dreamt of living there. I've even had a house like overlooking the ocean in my dreams.
Hmm.
So, like, I have this big, huge dream. So I was like, well, I don't know if I can afford any of these, not even, this one here that's like a little thing. And then I was like, well, okay. And then I saw this commercial building and it was a mixed use building, but I saw there was, um, you know, that it had just been waiting and waiting and waiting for the right person. And I was like, interesting. And so me and my friend, we were driving and I had totally forgotten about it. Like I just was like, okay. And then I was driving over there to find, because they opened a high street deli in Baywood, and I was like, okay,
Hmm.
let's go get sandwiches after a hike. And so we're going over there, and then I literally was like, oh, first we have to go over here. I don't know why, but let's go look at it. And
Hmm.
so we went to go look at this building, and it was for sale. And it's a office building, so it's 2 stories and there's healing, massage therapists and yoga and acupuncture and everything going on inside the building.
Yes.
But they're selling the building, and the building is falling apart pretty much, and
Hmm.
so it needs a remodel. And then I looked at my friend. I'm like, well, I mean, what are we gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
we have to have this building. Like, we have to fix it up. We have to take care of them. And he just, he was like, huh, okay. And then the next day, he literally said, let's do it.
Wow.
And so I was part of a small group that secured the finances to purchase the building. And we went through a whole year of figuring out how we were going to remodel it and make it this beautiful wellness center, because that's the vision,
Yeah.
so that everybody has space to work and to be together. The community aspect is really important to me because I want to have a space for potlucks and events and art
Nice.
and dance. And so there's a lot of different moving parts, obviously, from a person like me who has many, many, many
Yeah.
talents and interests. And so I literally came up with like everything that I did the first time ended up being what we ended up like moving towards was like the whole vision was just like perfect. And, like I scratched my head and then I challenged myself. And then we end up going right back to what we had decided. And then it's just interesting. So then now we're looking at finally um, remodeling the space in this spring. And we're going to begin that. And then we're going to head to, I'm focusing on opening as a yoga studio movement center and a lounge. Um, and that's going to be upstairs. And then eventually there's going to be two other phases of the remodel where, we transform the whole place. But we're starting out with a small little, like one step stone to get there.
Yeah.
And we're going to focus on creating a beautiful community practice room. And so that's my project at the moment. I'm working on that. And I will be teaching yoga, but I also want to support other people. I want other people to, find a home. There's already people there leading sound baths and events and other types of yoga. And so I just want to continue to support the community there. And I know a lot of the people there already. So it's just been kind of like this, um, a universe, the hand of God kind of experience where things are just coming together in alignment. And there's really no reason to change course. It's just required like a lot of attention and a lot of consideration.
Yeah.
And it just seemed so perfect too, the timing of it all, because just in terms of the inner circle of the network there, it was time for someone to come in and, like step forward as someone to kind of take that place to the next step and the next incarnation. And so I feel really honored. I've been, I'm super humbled by all of this because like I said, I didn't have a single penny to, really move mountains, but I just showed up with this trust and this faith and then everyone just came together and it's just been so miraculous. And it's continuing to be something that evolves and teaches me to have greater faith. And so I'm just really, really honored to be talking about it. I am excited about it. I have a lot of different mentors, and I really had to sit with this though because I was like, well, I don't know if I like, is this really for me? Do I really want that? Like, if I really step forward, I can't just like half step, you know what I mean? I have to like
Yeah.
fully step into this. And so just enough of that, like, I felt like, well, the universe moved my legs because I'm already stepped
Yeah.
forward. I literally can't step out because I care so much about each of these people. And I already feel like there's some divine connection there.
Yes.
My spirit animal is the blue heron. And so was kind of imagining that that would be in the logo or something.
Hmm.
But that's for many years, the blue heron has been one of my teachers. And one of the massage therapists there at the space, she saw a blue heron step up onto and right up at the building, like stepped
No
up
way.
right onto the sidewalk and walked towards the front door. And
Yeah.
they just stood there and like received received the message. And
Absolutely.
this was before we even met. And then simultaneously, another day, there was the blue heron who visited somebody else who was also working there at that building, and they were out at the marsh, and the blue heron like came up to them, and they just stood there and received a message too. So I heard
Mhm.
this from like different
Wow.
people, and I was just like blown away by that because it's just there's nothing, there's no accidents, like it's all art, like I said, like it's all like God is the painter, or the creator of this magnificent artwork that is our lives coming together.
Yep.
And there is literally not one flaw, like everything is intentional. And, the difficult things are teaching me how to be strong. The, like the different relationships, like I am showing up to them because I'm capable. Like it's who it's everything in my past has led to this.
Yes.
So I've had to really just trust that this is what's meant for me in this new chapter. And it's not just for me, it's for everyone. Like, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this because, like we as a community need a place that supports us and allows us to thrive. And I have this moment to help other people create that opportunity for them so that they can continue to serve the community, but also that the community can continue to, gather and create and inspire because it's not just from Gabe Yoga or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's from all of us sharing this community space and being together and being in love with this community because that's really the point. So yeah, it is a Valentine's Day wish as well, but every day is Valentine's to me. So
Yeah, but maybe then that's you wrapped up that Valentine's present beautifully, a little bow at the end. It's all about being in love. Yeah, I like that because
yes,
if this really was for yourself, maybe you could get away with that for a time. But then you're
yeah,
trusting in something that goes beyond yourself, and then that gives you something that inspires you. And maybe that's part of what your pure intention is. I'm not exactly sure, but maybe that's part of it.
yes.
And it also helps you to kind of step forward with that faith, is because you're actually kind of one thing that's hard sometimes is to put faith in other people. To go, you know what I mean? Instead of
Mm,
putting everything on yourself, like that pressure you talked about having like earlier in your life,
yeah,
you kind of learn to like let a little bit go to other people. This person can help a little, that person can help a little. I can have a
it takes a
conversation.
village.
Yeah, exactly. So you're kind of planting seeds around you, and then it's like you're going, I'm gonna plant a little a flower here and a little here, and then
Mhm.
eventually it reaps tenfold back to you because maybe something it took a long time where you're like just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then suddenly it starts to bloom all at once, and you're like, oh, everything's coming together,
Yeah.
and you were just waiting for this moment. So, yeah, does it have a name like that we can?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm calling my project Skanda, based on the five skandhas, which are form, sensation, and perception, conditioning, and awareness. And those, it's a Buddhist teaching, but also it has many names, many definitions.
Hmm.
So skanda means, whole, aggregate, whole. So it's like all these different parts that form union.
Yes.
And so in this particular philosophy that I'm working with, we get to show up to the center and we get to focus on our bodies. We get to heal our bodies. So we get to go to yoga, we get massages, we get to, treat ourselves, our body. And then there's these other classes or workshops or experiences. There's a lot of different things that I plan to curate. And I see them as, addressing different ways of, revitalizing and recharging one's life and self. And so, I think of this as like a place where people can, get clear and
Yeah.
where they can find um, flow and, enjoy and be assisted, but also just that there's a belonging that we belong together, that this is a place for us to be well, like not just physically, but mentally,
Yeah.
and to, talk about things like to get together and have discussions, much like this,
Hmm.
where we get to know our own purpose and to take a step out of our life that feels really busy and limited by hours of the day and, the construct of time and by many different factors, stresses. We get to remove all of that and we create a container, a safe space for us to, really just be together, but also to like cleanse and to heal. And so there's going to be different offerings that will, support bodies, minds, and the community as I start to like I said, curate and bring things together. I have a very eclectic background in holistic wellness, so I do love oxygen therapy and
Yeah.
I like different things. Like the sauna is an idea that I'm trying to design there. But I also would love training. I love training experiences where people can come together and like I want to treat it as a school as well, so that people can come and learn, about different topics and, be part of a group or, do more in-depth focus training for themselves to help them stay on their path or to help them, really explore and refine, themselves so that there's, like the vision continues to become clearer for them on what they are
Yeah.
doing for themselves. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. Skanda also is another name for heron. and
Wow. Okay. Cool.
teacher and path. So there's a lot of names, like in Sanskrit, it has like, you could use it depending on how you use it, of
Hmm.
course. But in some ways it describes like how the teacher, instructs, or it describes also how the heron moves, or it is, this, sort of attainment of, precision and symbiosis. So it has a lot of meanings depending on how you use it. And I love
Yeah.
that because like you hit the nail on the head. I am a poet. So I
Mhm.
just love words that have deep meaning, and yeah, and I hope that this place can continue to teach me many things, because that's what I've been longing for, is to be a part of a group, a place that also is not just a place, because I plan to teach or lead experiences that guide people out in nature, because
Hmm.
that is for me, that is my sanctuary, just being outside on a trail, and just, like breaking away from, my regular Monday through Saturday or Sunday, routines,
Yeah.
but to just really step into my natural state and to be with God, or to be with myself, or to be with my friends, my brothers and sisters, who are also, on their path, because we each all have our journeys. And, we learn so much together. And just by sharing what we're, cultivating and what we're learning. And so to me, it's a collaborative gathering of many teachers. It's not just, we're all teachers. Everybody's a
Yeah.
teacher.
Absolutely.
So I don't see it as in like, I'm going to teach everybody how to be free. Like, I mean, no,
Teach us, Gabriel.
everybody, everybody teaches me, how to be, and it's just beautiful. So
Yeah,
yeah.
don't you think sometimes it's like, uh, I wonder if you've already wondered this, is like the thing that you're wanting in the world, you keep looking for it, and then some people, like yourself, you realize you have to create it.
Yes.
You go, I want this beautiful space where all these people can come together, and you're like, you know what? I've been dreaming and dreaming, and then finally the dream it comes true. And then maybe that dream of that house that's overlooking the ocean in Los Osos, maybe you'll get that house too, but also maybe that's kind of like was a little bit of this, you know what I mean? That
Well, it is a little bit of this, because it's like, my dream is this, beautiful, like, you know, it's all like a fantasy. But the reality is that I have the top of the mountain, like I can hike all the way up to Valencia Peak or the dunes, and I feel like I'm in on a temple, overlooking just the ocean from that vast, that vastness that exists there when you stand up on the high point of the dunes. And you just like, I feel so free, and I feel like I'm communing with God, or with the divine. I feel that it's effortless. There's something about like that connection.
yeah.
It's effortless when we drop, like the stories of our life, and we're just a witness to the miraculous beauty of nature. And that same practice is available to us when we sit in a circle
Yes.
and we drop everything that's out the door, we leave it and we come into the circle and we sit together and we meditate or we hum together or whatever it is that we're doing. Like we move together, we do nothing together. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, it's it's that same union. And so I just feel so yeah, like it's those different parts of the practice that create the whole. And my passion is really to continue that discovery on like how to manifest it and how to, like create um, steady care for other people. Because I also want everybody who's, a part of this project to be well. And so like I'm definitely, I'm writing about all of these different forms of nourishment and these different structures that will help us, be aligned, be, able to serve, be also able to receive,
Yeah.
and just, continue to be this wellspring. And, so that no matter where you are in your journey, no matter who you are in your profession, it's like we're all coming to the spring, and we're getting cleansed and we're coming together in that shared vision.
Yeah, right on. That was perfect. You really are poetic. I'm just gonna let this guy cook for a while. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I see how inspired you are, and it makes me inspired. I'm like, how can I
I
do
love cooking.
it? What can I do? Okay, so
I'm
yeah,
serving it up every day.
I'm gonna serving it up. All right. Don't tell me there's a kitchen in there and you're gonna start cooking in the back, okay?
I mean, no,
Like Skanda
I don't
doesn't
need
exist in the
one
kitchen.
more. Yes, I do.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and wrap this up, but so I thought I'd just give you one
Okay.
chance if there's something else that you didn't get around to talking about or something you wanted to promote. Is there a website so far we can like maybe put in the description, but you can mention that now.
So all of this is happening in real time.
Yeah.
It's just all unfolding. So I would
Okay.
just say, I have an Instagram that I don't really use that often, but I'm going to start using it.
Okay. Yeah. I
I
mean, but like we
still
can
use
the people
Facebook.
we can yeah, find a way to share that so people just know where this is going to be and it can
Yeah.
be part of the dream too. Yeah, we'll
Yes.
put that in the description as soon as possible.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. This was really, really cool. I really support what you're doing. As I said before, is I really, really love supporting people when they're kind of birthing something new. And I love watching people step boldly in a new direction. And it just makes me get excited and go like, oh, how can I help you? You know, this is great. But this was a start of me kind of getting the
Yeah.
word out there. So yeah, I'd love to learn more, maybe talk more with you in the future. Very interesting person to meet.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, I'd
really
love to show you the progress too, like the
yeah.
stages of it.
Yeah, we could do some updates or something like that. That'd be great. Okay,
Yeah. All
that's gonna
right.
be it for today. Thank you very much for being here and
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.